I heard someone mention menopause being a second puberty, and I thought, nailed it. Of course, it's like a second puberty. Our hormones are all over the place like tidal waves. Wild thoughts race through our minds. We question our sanity. Everyone annoys us. I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot like my teenagers. As you can see, I'm in my makeshift mountain studio in the Utah mountains. It's very beautiful here, and I am recording a few episodes. So I've talked about this before, but I don't know if you've heard it. Perimenopause is the time before you actually hit menopause. Menopause is just one moment. It's the moment in time when you have reached 12 consecutive months of no period. Now, perimenopause can last for years. It usually starts in your 40s, but it can start in your 30s. And when I experienced it, it was actually my late 40s, almost 50. And well, I was probably experiencing some symptoms of it before that, like a skipped period here and there. And I actually thought that's all there was to perimenopause. And until I skipped that period, I didn't even know. I did not even know about perimenopause. And I didn't know about all of the effects that you could experience in perimenopause that are basically like a second puberty. Your hormones are on this roller coaster. The levels are fluctuating. Chaos on your mental well-being, especially when you're not sure if it's normal, which I've also talked about before. And I think it's really important that we have these conversations. I love that women are having these conversations more. I don't love that we feel out of sorts. Our emotions are all over the place. Our thoughts are racing. But yes, it's normal. You're all good. Like I said, I knew nothing about perimenopause while I was going through it. I didn't even know that's what was happening. People were not talking about it. Well, why not? Like, is it socially unacceptable? Is it weird? Is it awkward? Is it uncomfortable? Well, screw that. We're talking about it. And I love that we're talking about it more and more and more. Let's change the social norm. Women are suffering and feeling like they're losing their sanity. They need to know they're not alone. You're definitely not going crazy. I mean, we talk about puberty and kids going through puberty and their teens, so why not this? What's the big deal? And I think that's becoming more the tone these days, right? For a lot of people anyway. Well, the world I'm in because I'm out here talking about it. So maybe you're in a space where people don't talk about it. So let's normalize this conversation, right? During puberty, we have this hormonal chaos. And during the second puberty, perimenopause, we also have hormonal chaos. We're feeling it in our bodies and in our minds. So it affects our physical well-being and our thoughts and our emotional well-being. We have a huge, I actually talked about this in a podcast a couple weeks ago, but I want to take a different angle about this today. We have this huge mind-body connection all the time through our whole lives, right? It becomes more obvious during these times. It's probably becoming more obvious in regular puberty, in our first puberty, and it's definitely becoming more obvious now. There's this intricate relationship between physical and mental wellness. When I was a teen, actually, I was very shy. I did experience some depression. I never went to a doctor for it because that's just not how we did things in our family. That's not how it wasn't even common in society really at the time. So I didn't really know what was going on, but I found later, probably my early 20s, when I was just, I don't know if I just came across the information or if I was actually researching it, but I started, developing my self-worth and personal development, that sort of thing, meditating and all of that. And I also came across this information about, the medications that people took for mental illness, for like bipolar disorder and depression, and how they were talking about how the chemistry, your body chemistry, affects your emotions. And, that was news to me, kind of. But I thought, well, I felt like I had already kind of regulated a lot of that with the meditation I was doing. And I started to think back then, I was like, it's kind of like the which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. And I thought, okay, maybe these medications do adjust your body chemistry and then that affects your emotions. But it seems like meditation was doing that for me too. And I recognized that at the time in my early 20s. So I fully believe that now, and there's actually some science to back that up now, like quite a bit. So chemistry in your body does affect your mood. It affects your energy, it affects your ability to think clearly. And when the chemistry in your body is out of whack, you feel the chaos. You feel the chaos in your mood, in your energy, and your ability to think clearly. So in perimenopause, that shows up as mood swings, low energy, lack of motivation, brain fog. It's all normal. And if you think about it, weren't you kind of moody as a teenager? Maybe, maybe you had the low energy, but we were younger then, so maybe we didn't, right? Maybe not thinking clearly, some kind of hormones are out of whack, maybe. Oh, you're crushing on someone and you can't think about anything else, right? Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's a different specific situation. Maybe we're doing the opposite now, where it's like, nah, I don't want anything to do with, I don't want anything to do with men. But anyways, so what can you do in this situation? What can we do about this second puberty? Now, it's not a disease, it's totally natural, right? This is part of our evolution as a woman. And I like to look at the natural solutions. That's me, and that's who I'm here for. So if you just want to take a drug and make everything feel better, not think about it anymore, then I'm not the right person for you. There are people out there that will support you with that. But I'm here for the women who want to use natural solutions to help alleviate and balance out the symptoms, who maybe even want to start looking at this as something to embrace. Why natural solutions? I think we humans tend to forget that we're part of nature. We're conditioned to accept medical intervention for pretty much everything these days. But I look at it like, is it really necessary? Especially because this is a natural process. It's a natural part of our lives. But you know what? You do what's right for you. Personally, I prefer natural solutions whenever possible, and that's who I'm here for, the other women who feel the same way. Or maybe you can't use some of the medications or HRT because of the side effects, or maybe you have concerns about it. So we can talk about all of this. We can talk about how we're feeling. We can talk about this second puberty. Remove any stigma that might be there. Change the norms. When we can talk about it, we won't feel alone or crazy. We'll know it's all normal. So my protocol that I use, the natural protocol, it's even different than some of the other natural protocols that you use. A lot of people think, oh, so you do supplements or diet or this or that. No. The protocol that I use, well, sometimes diet, yes, but small tweaks in your lifestyle can have a dramatic effect. So I focus on holistic techniques, the whole picture. But the very first thing that I focus on is identifying triggers, learning to neutralize them in the moment. So there are certain things that are happening, and the way that you're perceiving them can trigger your emotional state, whether you're feeling depressed, anxious, panicky, stressed, or lack of motivation, even the hot flashes, night sweats, sleeplessness. One thing I found, I used to be able to drink coffee at 7 o'clock at night and go to bed at 8:30 and I would be fine. I could sleep through the night. I don't do that anymore. If I drink coffee after noon, I'm awake all night. So I don't do that anymore. I recognize that as a trigger. I neutralized it, and I changed what I'm doing. So we also resolve deep-seated triggers. This is where my real work begins. Hormones could be stirring up deep-seated emotions from past trauma and the shadow part of you that you've maybe been suppressing, things that have happened that you're like, oh, I'm fine, and not really recognizing as an issue, an ongoing issue. So I look at it from an energy standpoint, right? So these things that have happened in your past, like emotional baggage, however you want to refer to it, emotional baggage, past trauma, shadow self, this side of you, you have this energy that you're carrying, and it might be underlying. It might be really, really deep within. It might even be from things that you thought you've resolved and dealt with. but there might still be some residual energy there. So that's one of the things I do, is we really resolve these deep-seated emotions from your past, the baggage. And it's not like we're digging up the past, we're just shifting the energy. And I have different ways that we do that. So it raises your vibration, it recalibrates your emotional set point, and it levels out your emotions so you're more peaceful more of the time. Now, this stuff would help at any time, but it's really important during menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause, that whole time when your hormones are really stirring everything up. So if you want to stop the crippling effects of menopause without resorting to medications or HRT, so you can wake up each morning with a deep sense of calm, refreshed by a full night's sleep, excited to hop out of bed, and live an adventurous, fulfilling, joyful day and the rest of your life, then check out my hormonal harmony quest to see if it's a fit for you. It's not for everybody, so if you're interested, we'll have a conversation, but I do have a little bit of information that you can check out so you can see if it's something you might be interested in. It's at wildsavvy.com/HHQ. Now, thanks for joining me today. Hit me up on those socials. The links are in the show notes. I also have links for some free resources, and I'm up-leveling those free resources as we speak. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, they're up-leveled. So even if you don't, know if you want to work with me, check out the free resources. Super helpful. All right, let's rock this midlife thing together.